Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to another episode of Overanalysing Creepypasta, your home for the very worst short-form horror fiction the internet has to offer. I hope you're doing well and are ready to tuck into some very, very mediocre gaming creepypastas once again. Again, we're sticking to the theme of gaming pastas for a while to kind of get our collective feet wet in the septic tank that is the Creepypasta Wiki. My name is Brady the Overanalyst, and I'm joined as always by my good friends Martina, or Seth the Overwitch.
Hi.
And Mate, or Comrade Potato.
Heyo.
So, when last we met, we dissected the multi-chapter epic Blood Whistle, and its Gazoogle translated spin-off Blood Recorder, which I think we can agree are two of the best fanfiction stories ever released online, right?
The Blood Recorder was top.
The best, worst one.
The best, worst one, yeah.
Doesn't get any better worse.
Any worser, no.
It's truly incredible. We're not going to be able to top Blood Whistle today, I'm afraid.
Or
there are
maybe
few... There's a couple special pieces I'm keeping locked away deep in the bowels of our grimoire of failure for
I already
a little
see
while.
you showing in one episode with just like a piece of paper that you're carrying like this, and it has like, just mud coming off of it, and you're like, I found it. I
think
found
you
the
mean
one.
hyper-realistic blood and viscera dripping from it.
This is the one.
Hyper-realistic 8-bit blood.
Oh yeah, of
Right,
course.
right. And of course the paper was slippery, like an ice stage. We're not going to be able to top that. I don't think we are.
No, it's gonna be a
But
hard
we'll
one.
try. This week, however, we're taking a look at two fairly short gaming creepypastas, one of which sees us revisit the wonderful and morbid world of classic Mario titles, and the other focuses on a game which I believe was created whole cloth for the creepypasta. So an original creation, an OC, if you will.
OC.
We'll begin with this week's Mario pasta, which is titled simply, in a Spartan style, Super Mario 64.
Very
I wonder
literal.
what this one's based on.
Probably
I bet it's
on
Mario
Sonic.
teaches typing.
Nah, it's Sonic.
Now,
Sonic Adventures 2.
First of all, it bears noting that I think if you're going to make a silly campfire ghost story based on one of the old Mario titles, 64 is probably one of your better bets. I know a lot of people who grew up with the game. I did not. I didn't play it for the first time until I was around 10, I want to say. Remember certain elements of it from the atmosphere of wet, dry world, the sunken city set in a construction site, to the disturbing shepherd tones of the infinite staircase that keeps you from the uppermost floor of the castle until you have X amount of stars. Being unsettling.
I am still afraid of a small room with a piano. I
Yeah.
never know if it's gonna start chasing me or not, as pianos do.
Yeah, so for that reason, for so many people having childhood memories of being not horrified, but maybe a little spooked by various elements of Super
Unsettled.
Mario 64, it is actually pretty good fodder for a horror story, I think, because you can tap into that. You can tap into that kind of nostalgic discontent a lot of people had as youths. That's good. And that's the thing, as we've noticed, a lot of creepypasta really try to lean into, hitting those nostalgia nerves. Let's see how well Super Mario 64 does, shall we? Let's traipse on over to the Creepypasta Wiki, and dear friends, feel free to follow the links in the description to read along with us. I always liked Super... hold on, first off, like a lot of creepypasta on the wiki, this article includes an illustration, an image for us to help visualize the story. And in this case, it is simply a JPEG of the Super Mario 64 box art with the caption, Mario.
I mean, it's scary in its own right. It's a plump Mexican-looking man that's apparently Italian with a pair of wings. I mean, that's terrifying,
Sorry,
right?
Steph, that was extremely racist. Why does he look Mexican to you?
I don't know, but he never looked Italian to me. Like, if he had a sombrero instead of that small hat, he would look Mexican to me.
I don't know. My problem is just he's looking straight at me, like straight through my soul.
And
Like
he's
that
not blinking.
My problem is he has never looked 23, which he apparently is canonically. Isn't it 23?
Mm,
I mean,
Oh
like
God,
45 to 50.
Mario is as old as I am.
Yeah, I can see the resemblance.
I can't get airtime like that. I can't. I can get maybe 6 inches off the floor and then just right back onto it, face forward. It's an unpleasant sight.
It's an attempt that matters, right?
Speaking of, this is indeed an illustration, the Mario 64 box art. If you click on it, its file name is just mario.jpg.
also, if
like
you click
Sonic
on it,
Pixie.
the picture that opens is, I think, smaller than the actual thumbnail.
Yes, it is. Well done, Creepypasta Wiki. Let's begin. I always liked Super Mario 64, hey, properly italicized, when I was a kid. I remember playing it at my aunt's house all the time. Well, one day a pop-up appeared out of nowhere as I was watching gameplay footage on YouTube, as pop-ups do. I was a little startled.
I mean, yeah, when you realize that you forgot to enable ad block, I usually startled myself as well.
Startled by ads. All
Yeah.
right. And was about to close the window until I realized that it was a website showing a mint condition copy of Super Mario 64 for sale. As, intrusive ads usually are, like something from someone's garage sale.
Yeah.
There was a picture and everything. Oh, yes, I see. It's been included. I usually don't trust these things, but the feeling of nostalgia overpowered me, and I wanted to buy it. The whole business was peculiar, seeing as how the owner of the game wanted the buyer to send an envelope containing $10 to the address on the site, instead of using something like PayPal. What made things even more strange was that when I tried to gain access to the website, I wrote down the URL. What? Like, the entire URL, the entire web address.
Yeah,
You wrote it
apparently
down.
he wrote it down. I mean, considering he's gonna buy something by sending $10 in an envelope to a person, I don't think this guy's the wisest.
No,
Yeah,
that's
no.
Not, that's not the most unrealistic thing. It's the fact that somebody is selling a mint condition Mario 64 for $10. Like, that's the suspicious part.
I mean, wasn't the recent one sold for $1 million?
Yeah.
1.5 million?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. But you see, it's haunted, so they just had to get rid of it. By
Of course.
blending this really weird synthesis of low-tech and high-tech into an advertisement. That's the weirdest thing to me, off the bat, is you're using the web to advertise a, mail purchase, kind of like a catalog service for this one mint condition copy of Mario 64, and the buyer, instead of, copying and pasting it into Notepad or something like that, is writing down the full URL of the web page by hand as he gets ready to mail $10 to this rando for Mario 64. I don't think the author knows exactly how or the full suite of operations available to you with most personal computers.
Like, the very, very obscure method of copypasta.
Yeah. Or
Control C,
bookmarking.
Control V. Bookmarking as well, yeah.
Let's see. After encountering ... problems with the game, the page was nowhere to be found. A few days after the $10 was mailed, I got a package containing the new copy of the game. The first thing I noticed when I opened the small box was that the official sticker with Mario flying in the air was apparently peeled off or something. Does he mean the title? The title
Yeah.
image?
Yeah, like the front, the
label.
the thing in the picture. I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's the box art. That is not what's on the cartridge.
Oh, yeah. That might be like the yeah. It's probably on the cartridge is the same picture, just smaller. But then that poses the question: how the fuck is it mint condition if that thing
Right.
is killed off?
And also, how
Also,
the fuck didn't he get scammed?
as I said, at least in the U.S., right? So at least in this region of the world, the cartridge label for Mario 64 depicts an entirely different scene. It's like Mario running away from Bowser, who is like chasing after him and breathing fire or something like that.
That's true.
So okay, that's 2 strikes. Let's see. In its place was a piece of duct tape with Mario crudely written on it in permanent marker. I felt a little ripped off, but as long as the game worked, I didn't care.
For $10, hey.
What were you going to say, Potato?
But if he didn't have the sticker on it, he wouldn't know that it wasn't supposed to be the sticker of Mario flying in the air.
Oh my god, you're right.
Ah.
Yes, Detective Potato.
Detective Potato.
Is that like a knockoff haunted bootleg of Detective Pikachu?
Sure, why not?
Just without a tail, and that's it.
Yeah, let's see. I got out my Nintendo 64 and put the cartridge in. Wait, if they always loved Mario 64, and they played it a lot when they were growing up, did they just not keep their cartridge?
They played it at their aunt's, they said.
Ah, yeah. Buy it off your aunt. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Why did your aunt have a Nintendo 64?
For either for her children, or maybe she was, if they grew up during the 90s, like younger and played herself.
Yeah.
She was the cool aunt.
Yeah!
The aunt from Germany.
The screen turned on with the familiar Mario face that you could stretch and twist aimlessly. I remembered laughing all the time at the results as a kid and decided to mess around for old time's sake. No apostrophe. Have to say, generally so far, the grammar and composition are not bad, honestly. Not great, but not terrible. There's not a ton of typos or anything like that. I moved the cursor over to Mario's ear and pulled it to elven proportions. Sure. I was going to do the same to the other ear when the TV suddenly produced loud static. Mario's whole head started deforming and twisting in ways that I didn't even know were possible for the model. Random sound effects from the game started playing along with the static. As all this was occurring, I could hear a faint voice whispering in Japanese. The voice was stammering and whimpering. Okay. I immediately shut off the game and tried again. I didn't bother with the Mario head this time, just selected a new file and started playing. When I selected the file, the game skipped the opening monologue by Peach and the courtyard outside, mint condition. Mario was placed right inside the castle. Creepier still. What? Was any of the preceding sentence creepy in the least?
No.
Or 2 sentences?
A bit unusual, like maybe the game is
Yeah.
broken or something, but...
Or it's a
Not
ROM
creepy.
hack.
Yeah.
Again.
Mint condition.
Mint condition. Creepy, though. Creepy. We didn't get to run around in that empty garden for a little while.
Or,
All
or
right.
say,
Creepy.
Peach! Yeah.
So creepy.
So creepy.
Bowser didn't say anything either. I tried to ignore it. I know it's hard. Creepypasta protagonists have, like, the mental fortitude of a goldfish, so
Oh, yeah.
they get really upset really easily. But just hang in there, narrator. However, I also noticed that there was no music, just dead silence. There weren't even any toads around to talk to. Oh, thank God. Hold on. Sorry, there was a fly buzzing around again. Love the summer.
Creepier still. Great,
Yeah.
continued reading.
The only door I could enter was the Babam battlefield. The other doors wouldn't even respond to my button commands. Well, aside from the doors not giving you like a prompt telling you don't have enough power stars, that's normal.
Yeah.
I believe until you get the first star, you can't open any of the other doors.
Yeah, I think you can just open the first one.
Let's see. The portrait to Babam Battlefield, I think they mean of, wasn't the usual picture.
Maybe like the portrait gate to Babam
Yeah,
Battlefield.
I know what they're going for. It was just a stark white canvas. I was still trying to convince myself that these were just minor glitches, and that they wouldn't affect the gameplay at all. Once I entered the portrait, the image suddenly went from a blank canvas to the lethal lava land painting. You know, that slightly unsettling image of the flame with the evil smile, yeah, that's when I started getting really suspicious. Alright, sure.
Kinda sus.
Oh my god, I just read a couple paragraphs ahead. Oh, this is great. The mission select menu came up, and yet another weird detail was present. Instead of Big Babam on the summit, the mission was called, all caps, Turn Back! Great. I have no idea what drove me to press A, but I did. This level seemed normal. Everything was how I remembered it. I thought I could finally enjoy my favorite childhood game. But then I saw him. Luigi.
No!
We found him!
Yeah, finally. It took us 3 creepypastas to find him.
Yeah! No, 4,
fun.
right? No, 3. Just 3.
3, yeah. I think last time we only read 1. Yeah, just the blood whistle.
But still, we found him! Luigi! Woo! I was absolutely shocked.
Luigi in a Mario game?
His model wasn't even a Mario palette swap. He looked like a completely original model. Actually, wasn't that, like, hidden model that was still bouncing around in the code for Mario 64?
I think so, yeah.
Slightly different than Mario's model?
Yeah, I think I read something like that.
Luigi just stood there until I tried to approach him. He started running at unexpected speeds. Yeah, like at first he started running really slowly, like at a snail's pace, then he accelerated to like Mach 5 for a couple seconds, then he moved down to a slight jog. All of these were very unexpected speeds. I followed suit and went through the level. Strange things happened as I pursued him. Each time I picked up a coin, the enemies and music would get slower, and the scenery would look darker in color and more morbid. How, pray tell? Explain? Detail? It kept gradually getting worse until I collected a 5th coin. Then, the music just stopped. The enemies laid down on the ground like they were dead. Sure. I was seriously freaked out, but I kept chasing Luigi. I went up the hill. No cannonballs rolled down, trying to knock me over. I really wasn't surprised at this point. Luigi was always just out of my sight as I ran. Once I reached the summit, I saw yet another object out of place. A small cottage was all that was seen on top of the hill. Luigi was nowhere to be found. The cottage was certainly odd-looking for a Mario game. It was old, plain, and broken down. Regardless of my fears at that moment, I had Mario enter the cottage. As soon as the door closed, a disturbing picture of a hanged Luigi immediately popped up, along with a very frightening scare cord. Don't you always love it when your narrators tell you exactly how to feel?
It's kind of like those subtitles in Netflix shows, ominous music intensifies or something like that.
Yeah, or like the subtitles in Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It sounded like a violin screech accompanied by loud piano banging. I know what a scare chord sounds like, thank you.
Yeah.
Mario fell to his knees and sobbed for roughly 5 minutes. Glad somebody was keeping time.
And also, he stood there for 5 minutes just looking at Mario crying. I mean, that's kind of creepy.
Well, isn't that like a trademark of all of these Mario creepypastas, though? Like, Mario just cries a lot, and people just kind of sit there and let it happen?
Apparently, yeah.
He cries for very specific amounts of time.
Yeah.
Right! That's another thing that is, like, ubiquitous within the video game creepypasta world, is all narrators having this remarkably astute sense of time.
Yeah, but at least this dude just said roughly 5 minutes and not like roughly exactly 4 minutes and 23 seconds like the other ones.
Yeah.
So Mario's just sitting there crying while Luigi is either hanging in the cottage or it flashed on screen and the cottage is empty and Mario just has a breakdown because he realizes, like, oh no, I never did pay like my monthly amount on that loan, and the repo team came and took everything. Like, one or the other.
Oh no, they destroyed my cottage.
I returned to the castle. Mario just slumped out of the painting. Must have been a rough night after learning he lost everything. Thankfully, Mario still had that bottle of whiskey he hid under the floorboards. The image switched from the Lethal Lava Land portrait to the image of Luigi hanging himself. Wait. The room was different this time. It was now a small hallway. Toads with blank expressions and white robes lined the sides of the hallway. There was another painting at the opposite end that just completely and utterly scared me. Like, for real, dude. It was a picture of my family, no period. It wasn't even a photo from the time Super Mario 64 was released. It was a very, very recent photo. I remembered posing for it last weekend. Okay. This paragraph, minor typo aside, isn't bad.
Yeah.
It's starting to introduce some legitimate supernaturalism to the story.
Now it's getting a bit creepy. Yeah.
It's silly with, like, the toad cultists and all of that, but, like, okay. You could even avoid the supernatural route and just have this be somebody, some deranged, like, ROM hack artist, was following this person who had sent their address and all that to them with the $10.
Yeah.
That could be unsettling. I doubt that's where we're going, though.
Probably not.
I reached for the on-off switch on the N64. There was no way I was going to play this anymore. Hey! They're smarter than the Blood Whistle guy!
Yeah, he's coming back to the game.
When I flipped the switch, the game was still on. I flipped it back and forth, but to no avail. I tried unplugging the whole system, but it never left the screen. I was even still able to control Mario. I couldn't just leave it on forever, so I kept playing.
Yeah. I mean, what else would you do when you have a game that you cannot turn off? Just keep playing it.
I love these protagonists, like, hierarchies of priority. Like, okay, potentially haunted, very unsettling video game that includes imagery of myself that was taken surreptitiously a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that's bad, and I probably don't want to get involved with that, but do I really want to be a poor citizen and, like, increase my family's electricity bill for the month by a few cents?
No, but he said he unplugged it, so...
Right!
So he's not using any electricity, which means you either call up some people and like, hey, I got a device here that doesn't need to be plugged in to work. How much you want to pay for this? or B, you call a fucking priest. You call him right now. Tell him to bring a lot of holy water, like 5 gallons.
You tell him, help! Luigi's haunting my television again!
We all need a bit of Jesus in our lives.
I've got to stop ordering those cartridges off of the dark web! Help!
And the priest is like, oh, God damn it, just get the kit. Let's go. Anti-Luigi kit.
It's another... Oh God, we gotta go. It's another Luigi.
The Vatican
Luigi
has a hotline just for Luigi. It allows them to fast-track exorcisms, you see.
Lucifer is just Luigi in Old Latin. It's a me, Lucifer.
That's why he's so frightened of ghosts. They're the ones that got away from him. That vacuum has a portal straight to hell. Now that we've properly ruined your childhood, allow us to continue. I went to the photo of my family and jumped in. Only one mission was available, of course. This one was called Run, Don't Walk. I selected the mission. Let's go! The level started in a flooded hallway, with platforms floating on the water. Mario landed on one of these, and the camera turned to show what was behind. A silent black void was slowly approaching Mario. It didn't look like anything. It didn't even look like finished graphics. Just a giant, blocky, black blob. Nice alliteration. I started jumping from platform to platform. With no goal in sight, I kept running, the darkness slowly but surely gaining speed. This kept going for what felt like hours. Given the obsessiveness of these protags, it probably was hours.
Yeah, I would say so too.
I was really doubting there would ever be an end. Mario was just going in circles, even though it was straightforward. Finally, the black blob / void / thing caught up with Mario and enveloped him in darkness. It was one of those three, not multiple.
Yeah.
He didn't scream or resist at all. It just consumed him. Mario fell out of the painting and back into the castle. I lost one of my 3 lives. The room was different now. Some of the toads were gone, and the painting looked different. My family and I were in the same positions, but our bodies were partially decomposed. It looked too real to be capital P photoshopped. Gotta get
But
that
like
brand
photo
recognition.
minus shopped.
Yeah, photo-shopped. It looked more like someone just took our dead bodies and posed them, because you would know what that would look like.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. Also, like, it didn't actually specify at any point. Was it like the picture they took but pixelated, like Mario graphics, or
Apparently
was?
just the photo.
Yeah, that just doesn't
Like
seem
high
like
res.
something that would be possible on a Nintendo 64.
You're
But
just getting too technical now.
I was about to say, yes, you're right. That is the one part of this that would not be achievable with an N64.
Everything else is completely fine.
Again, if you pirate N64 software, Nintendo will send the spirit of Luigi to haunt your home, apparently.
Yeah, it's a well-known fact in the priesthood.
Luigi was actually like an early local competitor in the electronic scene, and Nintendo was like, "No, we can't have this." So they bound his soul to an artifact, right? And now they control him as like a silent stalker in the night. We're writing a better creepypasta ourselves as we go.
no, I'm just imagining like a couple of weeks later or months or whatever, it's his birthday, and his family gets him a Luigi piñata, and he just freaks out and ends up going insane.
Let's go!
Regardless, I jumped into the painting again. Mario was in a small room. There was still only one mission available. It was called I'm Right Here. No capitalization on right or here. Spelled just like that. Oh, but bad, author. I'm right here, period inside the quotation marks, and the last clause spelled just like that, following thereafter. You should have had either a comma within the quotation marks or no punctuation at all. Probably within the quotation marks, but I digress. I selected the mission and prepared for the worst. Mario landed in a small, dark room. There no visible way out. Okay. The room was empty, except for a piano in the corner.
Oh no.
I knew what
No.
that meant. I was stuck in there with the mad piano, capitalized, of course, as a proper noun. I approached it, and it started chasing me as always. There was no way to damage it, so I had no choice but to let Mario take damage. When he lost all his health, the usual death animation didn't happen. Mario just got mauled by the piano. He
Yikes.
fell as his blood and guts spilled on the floor, and the camera panned to a top-down view of his corpse. A distorted version of the merry-go-round music from Big Boo's Haunt played as the screen slowly transitioned from the in-game shot to a photorealistic sketch of Mario's dead body in the same view as the shot. It was very unsettling. Sure, buddy. Sure it was. Is it just me, or does that sound, compared to everything else we've seen so far, more comical than anything else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Mario's getting, like, mauled, and the piano's shaking him around like a dog with a piece of meat, throwing
He
him all over
seems to
the
be
place.
more upset about that than about seeing a photo of his family
Yeah.
decomposing.
No, like, while all this is happening, Mario's screaming incarnate like a calliope is playing in the background. Oh, but of course we have to have photorealistic depictions of gore and viscera, as all good
Of course.
creepypasta
Of
do.
course.
I was crying softly as I gazed upon the image. I lost another life. Okay. The photo of my family was shown again. We were even more rotten than before. The view zoomed into the painting, like I was warping again. I was greeted with a shot of Peach's castle from the outside. The castle was crumbling in ruin. That's not how those words work. Crumbling, a ruin. Or the castle was in ruins, or something like that. The fields were on fire. The sky was pitch black. Bowser's laugh played on a loop in the background as children mockingly chanted, "You couldn't save her." This went on for a long time, until a close-up of Peach's face accompanied by an extremely loud screech interrupted the loop without notice. Peach's mouth was wide open, as if she was screaming, and her eyes were empty, black holes.
Okay.
Fine, whatever. None of these seem to be connected. None of these episodes seem to be connected. It's just generic, like, dime store horror tropes, one after the other after the other. There doesn't seem to be any overarching story or point to all of this. This is just creepy things in a video game.
Yeah.
And I find this, at its very best, kind of uninspired and boring. Again, kudos though, relatively few typos and misspellings in this pasta.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I was back in the hallway as Mario was once again ejected out of the painting. Now all of the toads were gone, and me and my family looked positively repulsive. Maggots were wriggling around in holes in our flesh. Guts were spilling out of our bodies. After a 4th of July barbecue, I know the feeling. My dad's eyeball was hanging loose from its socket. It was too much to bear, but something still urged me to trudge on. I jumped into the painting, with only one life remaining. This time, there was no name for the mission, just a blank space where the title would be. I selected the mission, and Mario landed on a very small island in the middle of the ocean. Which ocean? The ocean. There was a solitary sign. It only read, all caps, "Dive." I did just as it said, and entered the water.
Oh, God damn it, a water level. Hate those.
The ocean was dark and empty. There were no fish. I wasn't even able to see anything in the water besides Mario. I swam downwards. I kept going for quite some time, yet Mario never ran out of breath. I counted roughly 10 minutes of swimming until I decided to go back up. Just as I turned Mario around, it came. Huge...
Nothing. I was just gonna say it came.
Of course. A huge, and I mean huge, no comma, Unagi the eel came out of nowhere and swallowed Mario whole. You don't have to call it Unagi the eel. Unagi means eel.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Eel the eel.
I was dumbfounded. It went by so fast, I wasn't even sure what I saw. The game over screen didn't show up. Game over is capitalized, of course, because we have to be proper. All that happened was a fade out. The photo of my family and I was shown again. We were plain skeletons now. Once again, it looked very real. I couldn't move the camera at all. It just stayed focused on the picture. I shut off the game and turned it on again. What? You can turn it off again now?
Yeah, now it works. What's your problem?
Sure. I chose my file, but it just went to the skeleton photo of my family. I tried this about 3 more times before giving up. That's what you do with things that upset you, right? You just keep engaging with them?
Yeah, of course.
I desperately wanted to stop, but some force kept me from walking away. I decided to select the only other saved file. The camera once again focused on the skeleton picture, but this time they were in a different position. New sentence. As if they were a different family.
Okay, did something happen to his family because of the picture, or?
We don't know. We do not know.
We do know, however, that it was not a mint condition copy of the game.
Yeah, he was lied to and he should really get his money back. He paid $10 for a mint copy.
Let's see. Let's find some reviews in the comments before we dive into our own, right? Let me see. Somebody says, the story was pretty amazing, had me creeped out a lot. Wanna help me write another creepypasta? And somebody responded, 7.5 out of 10. Somebody with a Luigi profile pic.
Oh no.
Great and creepy creepypasta, and Mario is always a great in my book. But the hanging of my boy, B-O-I, Luigi, takes it down 2.5 points.
God damn it. I like the next one. It says, what even is that ending? I just don't get it. 3 out of 10. Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Somebody asks, "Is this supposed to be scary?" And another user responds, "Look up the meaning of creepypasta."
Eh.
Let me see. Somebody says, "The hanged Luigi kind of killed it," to which the same person with the Luigi profile pic responds, "My boy Luigi shouldn't be hung. That's abuse."
Okay, so that is definitely a child behind that.
Certainly.
Or somebody who just likes Luigi.
Somebody else says, "You've got to be cuckoo crazy to think this pasta is good. 5 out of 10.
Oh, listen to this one. I knew I was gonna see something utterly horrible when I googled Mario 64 creepypasta, but this goes beyond bad. It's just funny. It's like when the lazy kid in your school group adds a new slide to your presentation and it's just black Arial text on a white background in all lowercase.
To which somebody
No.
replies, "Hold on, let's read this little discussion."
Yeah,
Potato, are you interested in acting as the voice of reason here? This person criticizing the pasta.
yeah.
I'll play the part of his interlocutor.
Scout main pain train.
What? This thing's actually good. Don't need to hate.
It's really not. What kind of haunted video game just shows a picture of the player? Also trying to make a point of Bowser's laugh being creepy. How the player will press on after 5 or 10 minutes of the same looping animations or sounds, and then it just ends abruptly. It's bad.
I can see where you're going, but some places really got me. Like the part where it shows the family's photo, and every time he dies in game, they go through states of decay. To be honest, I've never been a sort of critic, so my observation would be shorter than yours. Like, what?
And
What?
that makes no sense.
Again, this is quite spectacular because I think this is the first pasta we've seen, right? That the creepypasta wiki audience, by and large, dislikes.
Yeah.
Like, pretty decisively. There were a couple kind of positive reviews.
The thing is, like, I gotta say, I did not absolutely hate this creepypasta because I felt like some ideas were good and he was like trying to build up towards something, but then he just started random like tossing in creepy tropes and the ending was nothing. Like that first idea of yours, like a ROM hacker that was maybe stalking him or something,
Yes.
that would have been much creepier.
And
You should rewrite this.
It almost felt like if they had proceeded with the story after the very abrupt and unsatisfying endpoint that we're given. Again, a flaw in a lot of these creepypasta is they just kind of stop. And there's nothing wrong with horror or suspense stories that leave unanswered questions, because as great literature of the 20th century taught us, or certainly taught me and my family, oftentimes ambiguity can breed the most horrifying scenarios because the audience is left to imagine what's behind the veil, right? What you aren't showing them, what you aren't telling them. And their mind will automatically create the most unsettling thing possible for them. But generally, I'm a fan of having concrete answers to major story questions like, what is the true nature of this phenomenon? Is it paranormal? Is it man-made? Or how are we intended to read it? You know, is it artificial? Is it natural? Is it something like that? Who or what is behind this? To what end?
Yeah.
It felt to me, right, like if they took the angle of a demented ROM hack artist, like maybe specifically targeting people or using like their information, personal information they had to include in the mail to track them down, like stalk them, and then inflict some kind of harm upon them or threaten harm upon them or their families, that also would have integrated the actual final plot point far better. Like, you know, you play through this and you are a person of remarkably frail constitution and all of this is very scary to you. Fine, whatever. Then you go to examine the other files, like maybe there's 3 other files as there would be on Mario 64, and oh my god, they're all different family photos that have been arranged in the same way. And then you can very simply end the story by having the protagonist hear or see something out of the corner of their eye. Like, you can create a real, palpable threat and allow us, therefore, to take many of the issues that we had, or that I had certainly, like all of the content of the ROM itself, or of the game, feeling really disjoint, and like, as you said, Tina, just a bunch of horror tropes thrown together willy-nilly with no real continuity, and we can disregard that. That wasn't what the story was about in our alternate continuity. That isn't the point. It's a bunch of scary, kind of edgy imagery, yeah, but the threat, the horror, isn't in the game. It's in the person who made the game. That's a story, minor adjustment you could make to maybe not make a good story, but make one that's marketable, you know?
So
Other
how would you
thoughts?
guys rate this?
4 out of 10. Nah, 5 out of 10, just due to it being not too many grammatical errors.
I would agree, like 5 out of 10. I think that's decent.
5 out of 10 as well. It is the plain hamburger of creepypastas.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to get sick off of it, but it has like no flavor or personality at all.
And it's kind of cheap, so you don't mind eating it after a long night out. You know, just like on
Right.
your way home because you need something fatty.
Did
Exactly.
you just call Mario fat?
Yes.
Wow. Fat shaming poor Mario.
Careful, he's
Hey,
gonna sick Luigi on your ass.
Oh no, not Luigi.
Yeah, don't make him make Luigi kill himself in your room. You're just gonna come home and there's Luigi like hanging on your ceiling, and Mario's gonna be, it's your fault.
Yeah, and then cry for 5 minutes. Roughly 5 minutes.
And then impale you with the blood recorder.
Oh god.
All right.
This comment for some reason just cracks me up. If Mario 64 was personalized.
Misspelled, yes.
Yes, completely.
You know what? Like this is why I feel bad at times, like dredging through the wastes of the creepypasta wiki, because these stories bring joy to people whom I guess we have to assume have never read a second story.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah, I mean, this dude rated it 8.6 out of 10.
8.6.
Yeah,
that means
good.
it's better than most.
But no, wait. 8.6.
Yeah.
That's very specific.
Yes.
Roughly 8.6
You know, it was
out of
gonna
10.
be an 8.75, but man, can't do
Oh my
Luigi like that.
8 out of 10, I was impressed. Mario 64 is a favorite of mine, and that would have been truly terrifying.
Like, honestly, at this point, I'm not quite sure what is the audience of this. Like, if it's like young teens, like preteens and stuff, I would kind of understand this more, but...
Right. But it's Mario 64.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, most of the people who feel great nostalgia for Mario 64 would be what? In their mid to late 20s now? Late 20s, probably.
Late 20s to even early 30s. And also, like, I'm now trying to think, can we maybe find some Fortnite creepypasta?
Ooh. Oh,
That-
yes, ma'am.
that would be terrible.
Maybe in the next episode.
If we don't have a strong suggestion for a podcast episode next week, I will get digging.
Yeah,
And then building cheap, flimsy fortifications out of creepypasta.
just print
and-
them out.
And doing stolen dances deep within. Oh, that'll be so good. Any final thoughts on Super Mario 64? Even the title's generic.
Yeah, but exactly. The title says it all.
Boring. We found Luigi, though. That's
Yeah,
the one
finally.
thing I have to give
The
that.
little creepypasta that could, but didn't.
Man, like let's pour one out for Luigi after this recording session, though. Okay.
Mm.
He deserved better than to be a background plot element in 3 terrible creepypastas.
Well, he wasn't even a plot element. He just hung himself for no reason whatsoever and had absolutely no impact on the story further.
Well, yeah, but wait, can we maybe make like a creepypasta extended universe? Because this happened, Luigi, in fact, was maybe like possessed and driven to do so by the aliens from the Super Mario RPG story, and that's why Mario embarks on his campaign of revenge. And then because Mario is so bloodthirsty and ends up slaughtering so many innocents, he's like sentenced to hell. Therein unfold the events of Blood Whistle. There we go. We can create our own creepypasta cinematic universe right here on YouTube. Mario Endgame.
And Bowser ends up being one of the good guys.
As always, as in every game theory episode. All right. Friends, are we ready to tackle Mr. Mix?
Oh, let's do it.
This one also has a great MS Paint illustration of the titular character.
Okay, that's terrifying, actually.
That's Mario having a flashback after he retires from adventuring and just takes up cooking.
Then we have a reference to Mario already in the first sentence, so...
God damn it! I did not intend this!
No, not only to Mario, but to Mario teaches typing, which you have mentioned literally in the first sentence of our today's episode, so... Good job. Now we have the complete universe.
No, we just need to find Luigi in this one.
Yeah.
We will. Hold on. So just as a background, Mr. Mix is a creepypasta that I remember making the rounds quite early on during the creepypasta boom of the late 2000s and early 2010s. You would see like dramatic readings of it coming from the same channels or avenues that featured like lots of other video game or lost media creepypasta. And it is something of an elder statesman as this type of story goes. It's older than most and also hasn't been moved over to the Trollpasta wiki, which implies that it either or is very well regarded by the community or is acknowledged to hold some kind of legacy position within creepypasta's development as an art form.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are several stories on the wiki I know of for certain that, according to the wiki's procedures or their protocols, they would not accept were they submitted today, but are kept around for historic value.
Alrighty.
All right, let's dig
start.
in. Does anyone remember an old PC game from the early 1990s called Mr. Mix? It's mainly a typing game, similar to Mario Teaches Typing, not italicized this time, where you have to type words into a box to make a chef, the titular Mr. Mix, put ingredients into a bowl. Unlike most typing games, however, this game is notorious for having an insane difficulty curve. The game has a words per minute requirement for each level, being as low as 10 on level 1 and as high as 85 on the third. That is quite high.
Okay.
I don't know for certain that I could type consistently 85 words per minute. Probably.
No.
But by level 5, the requirement reaches over 500, effectively making it impossible to proceed any further. One of the main things that people noticed about this game immediately was the background music. The music on the first level was an unsettling pattern of growls that got progressively louder as the level went on, often causing damage to early computer speakers that were not designed to handle extremely high volumes of sound, as opposed to volumes of water, which those speakers were insanely well equipped for.
Yeah, of course.
As opposed to just lowering the volume on your speakers.
Right, well, no, it was supernaturally loud, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, sure.
Like my neighbors. The
Dogs.
second level had no music at all, and the third had what sounded like an extremely low-quality recording of a hairdryer playing in the background. Oh, yeah, I remember that. It was part of a collection of like really low-quality rips from Now That's What I Call Hair Drying Volume 6 that made the rounds on Napster back when I was a kid. The remaining 2 levels had an extremely loud, high-pitched ringing throughout that caused severe eardrum damage to those who managed to get that far. Another rather disturbing aspect of the game was the design of Mr. Mix himself. He was a large, round-faced, overweight man with large beady eyes and red spots on his cheeks. This is sounding disturbingly Mario-esque.
Yep.
Most children who played the game reported having vivid nightmares of Mr. Mix speaking to them in a quiet, raspy voice and threatening them to keep quiet about something. However, none of them could remember exactly what that was. One psychologist who saw many of these children reported being disturbed by the sheer amount of terror on the faces of the children as they recounted the details of the nightmare. Many of the children broke down into tears in the process,
Mm.
begging for their parents to save them. However, no direct relationship to the game itself could be determined by these few cases, as not all children suffered the same adverse effects. For obvious reasons, this game did not sell very well. No! What? You kidding me?
I like my nightmares.
Yeah, right. Also, it's a minor thing, but we are going to be overanalyzing these stories. They try to paint a picture for us of presumably younger children being extra normally frightened of this game. But
Yeah.
at least in my experience and hearing other people recount stories from their childhood, it's not uncommon at all for certain pieces of media, even fairly innocuous ones, to strike a certain chord with young viewers or young audience members and really badly frighten them.
I mean,
Even when
children
it's
react really
irrational.
weirdly. Yeah.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, I was terrified of the sound of very small. I mean, like a toddler, terrified of the sound of the dryers in my local car wash because they were
Mm.
so loud.
Yeah, I
Nothing
was
frightening in the
terrified
least
of
about it, but
that sound and picture of when there is like an interruption in the broadcast on the television, and then you had
oh yeah.
this like snow with some like round thing in the middle, and it looked weird. I don't know, but that was terrifying me when I was a kid.
Sorry about that. I think we
I
finally got
was
the fly.
I was
Nice.
really terrified of the hanging Luigi in my closet that would appear every third Friday of the month.
Oh no. But yeah, I was gonna say like I know some toddlers here in the neighborhood are absolutely terrified of my dog Beppo. He's a
Yeah.
corgi. Who the fuck would be terrified of him? So yeah,
But, dogs, they can be loud and move unpredictably. So
of
you can see
course.
why some children who aren't familiar could be a little scared. So yeah, I know they're trying to set the stage here. I don't think a psychologist would be able to say, "Oh, well, compared to all of the other young clients I've spoken to who are afraid of this or that TV show or nightmare or what have you, this is very bad."
Oh yeah.
I think the strangeness here, and maybe what they might have wanted to highlight instead, was that all of the children seem to be reacting similarly to a very similar type of dream.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They were all really distraught. They all asked their parents to save them. They all couldn't remember what Mr. Mix was talking about. Focus on that uncanny similarity instead of how over the top and frightening it was. That would be
Right.
my suggestion to tune this up a little bit. Anyhow, game didn't sell too well. It remained in relative obscurity until a few years ago, when PC hackers got hold of a ROM of the game and started digging through it. Using memory hacking software therein, they managed to crack the game's code and bypass the impossible fifth level. What they found, however, was extremely disturbing and caused many of them to quit the expedition altogether. According to the reports these hackers left behind, the game behaves very strangely if the fifth level is bypassed. The game crashes violently, as opposed to crashing gently, and
And
closes,
closes. No.
writing a bunch of
That's
files
kind
to
of
the
point of
users.
crashing.
Also, can a program really be said to crash violently?
Like
Yes, like when my Streamlabs or Discord crashes, it also crashes anything that uses the Chrome engine. So
I see.
I'd call that violent.
I'd also call that bad.
Yeah.
Taking several other applications to hell with it.
Yeah, exactly.
The game crashes violently and closes, writing a bunch of files to the user's System32 directory to the point that the RAM was almost completely filled, regardless of the actual specs of the CPU. Apparently,
No. Like the System32 directory folder has nothing to do with RAM being
Yeah.
pulled out.
I guess they're saying like,
Completely two
oh,
different things.
wait, you're right.
Yeah.
One's a memory leak, and the other one's just basically a worm virus that just keeps up filling your hard drive.
Great. These files are reportedly pictures of people with horribly deformed faces, appearing to scream in pain and agony, with their eyes appearing to be bleeding from their tear ducts, and the outer layer of skin torn clean off in multiple places. If the user attempts to delete these files, the computer will violently crash and blue screen, causing permanent irreparable damage to the user's hard drive.
Wait, blue screen is a verb in this case?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
apparently.
my computer blue screened. That's perfectly fine to use.
Oh, okay.
Although
I would
They
usually
use it
say
as-
I got a blue screen.
They use it as two separate words here, whereas in most cases I've seen blue screen as a verb used as a single word.
Oh yeah, like blue screen, but yeah, then it's like
Mhm.
merged.
also again with the violently crashing computer,
I know.
like you press delete and your computer just yeets itself off the
It was like,
onto the
no.
floor.
No, like the disk drive like just shoots out straight into your shin.
The disk drive opens up, a hammer comes out and like smacks itself. It was like, fuck you. Okay. Whew.
The computer like shoots out like a couple cables from the back, ties them around the user, and flings them both out of a window.
The printer just prints out a single picture of a hanging Luigi.
A single picture of like a hand with the middle finger extended, belligerently crashing. Let's see. The hackers found that this was caused by a lone byte in the game's ROM that triggered when the 5th level was completed. After removing this byte, the fly is still here, god damn it.
After removing the bite?
They were
God.
able to proceed to the 6th and final level. Unfortunately, all of the original hackers declined to discuss what they saw in the final level. All of them became extremely paranoid and reclusive, refusing to talk about anything related to the game, and showing astonishingly extreme symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder.
No.
Most of them ceased to be able to form coherent sentences within a week, and within a month, all of them went missing. All remaining copies of the game were destroyed. To this day, no one knows what was in that game that caused them so much psychological damage. Maybe it's better that way. 2 years after this incident, I think they mean that incident, but regardless, a man was arrested after trying to kidnap an 8-year-old girl from a grocery store. Through DNA and fingerprint analysis, the man was identified as one of the original hackers who viewed the final level of the game. You'd think they would just be able to get his ID or something, but no. He was wearing a white chef's hat and had a look of unspeakable malice and insanity on his face. When interrogated, the man would only say one thing. I'm a Mr. Mix. Shh. Well, that was garbage.
Yeah.
I think that one was worse than the first.
Oh, much worse. Much
Yeah,
worse.
like at first I was like, okay, is Mr. Mix an actual genuine game? Because the way that they were starting to like explain it, it felt like a Wikipedia page, just
Yeah.
telling us about the game. And I genuinely thought for a second that was a legit thing.
And all
But-
of that, for the record,
Yeah.
like where they're just describing the content of the game and how certain bits were or weren't kind of unsettling or unusual, like those sections, those descriptive narrative sections in the previous story were not bad.
Yeah.
Not phenomenal, but when they're not trying to lay the horror on so thick, a lot of these authors are quite competent with descriptive language.
I mean, like, for me, what ruined it is absolute inaccuracy of the like tech facts, but that could be, a professional disability of ours that we see that these things and we're like, oh,
No,
god
that
damn
was
it.
horrible. No, that was just horrible. That was just horrible.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be a tech professional to know that. Also, the thing that was bothering me quite a bit was the thing about they needed DNA and fingerprint analysis to find out that he was one of the original hackers. Like, how did they know?
Right!
Why
like,
did
the
they connect
identities?
that?
Like, at most, if he was actually someone who was hacking that game, at most you'd know his like forum handle or something, because he probably wasn't like in some government database of game hackers.
Yeah,
Just
unless he was
say-
another criminal. I mean, and it was just a fun fact that he was also a hacker for Mr. Mix.
No,
Just say, like, you got his ID and all that at the time of arrest, which you would, and then, like, his personal effects, his personal computer or his phone were searched.
but, yeah,
there you go.
That would have been more plausible.
But see, as we're learning, a lot of creepypasta authors don't know how any real-world institutions work.
Yes, or how computers work.
I
Well, no,
like,
but
I'm reading these comments now. Emma the Koala says, 2 million out of 10, good and scary pasta, and if Mr. Mix came up to me, I will kick him off my porch and step on his face.
No. Fragrant ginger calamari.
Yeah.
Mr. Mix kind of thick, not gonna lie.
Dr. Time 69 says, Mr. Mix is basically scary Chef Mario. Ah, yes, Mario teaches cooking.
Let me see. What else do we have?
Personally, I think Mr. Mix kinda cute.
What else? Somebody asks, earlier this year, practically no punctuation. Okay, so I have a theory about what the hacker saw. I think that the trauma he got from the paste bin made him metal believe that he was Mr. Mix. Does anybody agree? Well, ladies and gentlemen, big brother and sister, I don't think we're the intended audience for this.
No.
Let me just go bash my head in a wall a few times. Maybe I'll understand it better.
Skeleton 12 Pro says, Mr. Mix is unreal. Woohoo, uh-oh.
You know what I like? You know what I like about the illustration, aside from the fact that it's just a little amateurish? That apparently, as he was, like, threatening all these children in their dreams, Mr. Mix was still just, like, using... What? It's not a mixing bowl. It looks like an overgrown mortar and pestle to prepare, like, pizza sauce.
But I have to admit, you know what ruined it for me? The fact that he didn't write that upon being asked about level 6, the hackers would violently crash and then reboot.
Liam the Nobody says, hold up, if this were to be real, I'd probs be dead. And then SWAT agent 75948 says, it was in 1994. Of course you ain't dead, XD. What am I even reading?
Do these people have, like, a secret, like, code, like thieves can't?
Oh, wait. Knuckle Sandwich has a bigger comment. I think it's time the real mystery of level 6 is revealed. In the original cut of the story, level 6 is described as a video that contained the murder and rape of an underage girl that was committed by a man dressed as Mr. Mix. I don't want to go further in depth about certain events that took place, but I remember reading about the man shoving a knife up the girl's... Yeah. The details and amount of gore that was described was extremely graphic, and it probably was for the best that it was taken out. This explains the cryptic ending and why people were so traumatized after seeing it. The original cut was viewable on Pastebin for a while if you googled Mr. Mix Pastebin, but the link seems to have been expired, seeing as I can't find it anywhere. It felt as though it was put in the story for shock value, and personally I think that some things just shouldn't be explained. Okay, so that explains what about the kidnapping guy. He was probably just trying to recreate what he saw in that level.
Yeah. Oh, God, I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I've only ever heard this version of the story. Thank God.
Yeah, but
okay, I found the Pastebin.
The other version makes more sense, but I would argue it is in fact worse, because somebody this tactless would be handling such sensitive, deeply traumatic subject matter.
Okay, let me see. I'm reading the Pastebin now. Oh yeah, this is way too graphic. No.
Oh, God.
It contains a lot of rape and very disgusting things to do with the little girl. So
Lord, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna copy paste it in like the podcast channel so you can see it. But
yeah, just put a really graphic warning on it.
Yeah, and of course, for our YouTube audience, we will not be linking this.
No. If you wanna Google it, we already told you the name, but what we're gonna be linking is just gonna be the first creepypasta. This is a little bit too much.
Well, no, we can link the creepypasta wiki version of Mr. Mix, the one that made the rounds.
Yeah, not the Pastebin. This is like
Well, in that case, Mr. Mix gets an obligatory 0 out of 10 from me. I was going to give it like a 3 or a 4 because the story was kind of vague and, once again, very unclear in various ways, but now that I know that this same author, who wasn't terribly dexterous to begin with,
Yeah.
attempted to tackle several of the most traumatic, the most sensitive, the most potentially harmful topics an author can treat with their audience. You know, things that can be legitimately very, very upsetting and with good reason to a lot of the audience. Sometimes for personal reasons beyond like our our feelings about hearing things like that. Think
Um.
about all the readers, random readers on the internet who could have
Yeah.
gone through something like that.
Let me
How they
just
could react to it.
let me just
Yeah.
share with you how the ending of the pastebin version is, because it differs a bit from the
Okay.
wiki one. So in the wiki one, we have 2 years after the incident, a man tried to kidnap a girl, la la la. Like also wearing a white chef's hat and whispered, "I'm Mr. Mix," whatever. How it is in the original is that the guy eventually murders the girl and
Mhm.
then leans next to her and just says, "I'm Mr. Mix." So that was the ending.
That's even worse. Like the ending, I mean, content aside, is worse because what in the fuck does any of this have to do with a typing game featuring a creepy chef? What does any this story in its original version then does the exact opposite of what the last one did. It introduces a totally superfluous external threat, a real world threat, when the base game itself, since it was something that the author was making up all on their own, a game with weird properties and hidden elements and all that, could have been perfectly frightening or at the very least compelling to tell an audience about on its own, because none of us had ever seen the game, right? Nobody could have seen the game. So you get to create our mental image of it. It's another thing when you're working with an established property like Mario 64, because all of that creepy descriptive language used in the last creepypasta didn't do anything for me because I kept thinking, well, no, I've played Mario 64. I know what this would look like. I know what this would sound like. Not too bad. You probably need to introduce an external threat, not like this, but like we said, a killer or a stalker or something like
Yeah.
that to make it work, or that would be the best way to do so. Here, the horrific, poorly handled external threat is entirely superfluous to what could have been, hey, let me tell you about this creepy video game I made up and a fake investigation into its production or something like that. I personally wish to apologize to our audience, and in fact, we might want to put some kind of special warning on this video or this story alone, letting people know, hey, this one goes to some unexpected, very dark places. Because I was not intending to bring material like that to you, and I try my best to avoid stories that incorporate such. So I apologize for not screening the hell out of this one. Mr. Mix gets a 0 out of 10 from me. That's the type of thing that just, in its current form, would get maybe a 2 or 3. It's not great, not, but in its original form is the type of thing that should not be written.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, exactly the wiki version, 2 out of 10. Maybe it did nothing to me. The original version gets get the fuck out of here out of 10.
Yeah, kind of like the same, except the wiki version gets 1 out of 10, just because of the complete PC inaccuracies. But I guess it would explain why the much older comments are like, "Oh shit, this is creepy as fuck."
Right.
But
And most of the newer ones seem to be just a little confused, or oh god, those who are like praising the original monster, like the more recent comments, like Mr. Mix kind of thick. Oh, they can't know. They can't possibly have known.
yeah, they probably didn't. But there's a lot of like old comments, 2015 and stuff like that, that are just like, "I love this creepypasta. 8 out of 10."
Yeah, it seems that those older ones are all directed to the old one. I think that in 2021 it got changed to this newer version.
Really? No, I could have
No, it
sworn
was.
when I was younger I heard or read this version.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of like older comments that go, this is creepy and stuff, but there's one from 2015 that's going like, what's in the sixth level?
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So maybe there was somewhere in the story a paste bin that you could get much more easily with the full story.
Well, my
Mm.
thought is this version is the only one that ever was hosted on the wiki.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, we've kind of mentioned earlier, the standards of the creepypasta audience tend to be very low, so we can see a large contingent of people saying, "Oh yeah, this is really creepy," after reading what we just did, right?
Yeah.
The edited version. And I don't think the unedited version ever was shared on Creepypasta Wiki or anywhere else you would be able to like normally access your
Yeah,
Oh,
creepypasta.
you
I
might be
think this
right
is way too graphic
because
for
there's
that.
2014 comments that go, "Is it bad if I laughed at the final bit where he only says that one thing?
Yeah,
What's in
yeah.
the sixth level?" But then, how are these people going good past a 9 out of 10?
They have no standards, Potato. They have no standards at all. This is like the first story, the first bit of literature they've ever read. Like
Maybe it was one of the first pastas ever written, so yeah, people just
maybe
didn't know better.
Prometheus brought it down from Mount Olympus.
Gave it to humanity. Ay, ay, ay.
And he was like, "Here, take this and
And leave me
create
alone."
more works in its image, but stay away from Luigi. He's wild."
And then he was like, "Okay, crows, you can come and peck me now. I deserve it. Please, just, yeah."
God's
God
sake,
damn
like
it.
this. We had a lot of fun in the first 2/3 of this episode, and then
Yeah,
it just got awful.
yeah, it got really weird. But
Like a lot of creepypasta now that you think about it.
I mean, yeah, and that also shows like how, without any sort of moderation, people can put some really weird stuff on the internet, right?
Absolutely. And we've mostly handled this theme from a quality standpoint, but in terms of like permissible versus impermissible content, one of the issues that arises by making for sharing work like Creepypasta Wiki so open, so accessible, is that you're going to get a lot of things that really, as far as having artistic or literary merit, or the germ thereof, right? Like something that could be workshopped into a fun little campfire story, you probably shouldn't. And I'm not advocating gatekeeping here in the least. I am saying, however, certain stories and certain handlings of certain topics should not be permitted on Creepypasta Wiki, online, or elsewhere in society. There's some things
Definitely.
we just do not joke about. There's some things we do not make light about. There's some things we do not use as the basis for entertainment, unless they are handled very tactfully and respectfully.
Yeah.
This is my steadfast moral conviction, and I think active moderation is necessary. And it looks like in the case of Creepypasta Wiki, it actually was used here very shockingly for the wiki, knowing what I
Yeah.
know about it. And it's very low bar to say, no, we're not going to accept that story. And
Yeah,
good for them.
Yeah, I think that it's really good because we have to always keep in mind that especially creepypasta community, well, creepypasta stories, I meant, are mostly directed towards teens, right?
Yeah.
Usually they're directed towards younger audiences because, they're more easier to scare. So, yeah, I think talking about things like that in that manner towards that kind of audience
Absolutely.
needs to be severely moderated.
Absolutely. And it's important to note as well that at least online, it almost feels like censorship has become both a dirty word and a word that is defined far more broadly than it actually should be.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a massive, marked difference between like aggressive, arbitrary censorship and taking measures to protect communities and audiences online or elsewhere in the world, even if that means shutting down something that individuals or groups within that community enjoy or find permissible. You always have to keep your eye towards maintaining everybody's safety and everybody's comfort, especially when you're dealing with loosely connected groups online. So,
Any last words, Potato?
No. No,
just gonna hang it up for the evening and go violently crash?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's how I injured my foot. I violently crashed on the staircase.
Oh, wait, didn't you say you just stepped wrong?
Yes, while going down the stairs.
Oh, okay. So you
I mean,
violently
it was
crashed.
like a staircase that had like 3 steps.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Also,
horrible.
I was going to the ATM, so there is a high possibility that there's an ATM machine with like CCTV recording of me falling down and just staying on the floor for like 10 seconds because my foot hurts so fucking bad.
Oh no.
I can already see the security, like the guard, watching the footage and just like crying himself
Don't
too.
get me wrong. First, afterwards, I went to the ATM and I picked up some money, and then I went to the hospital.
Oh, of course, yeah. Just
Gotta
wanted to
get
make
your
sure that
priorities
maybe you can
straight.
break the other
Already
one.
there, like 2 hops away, literally hops, because I couldn't walk.
I mean, if you were in the U.S., you would have to go to the ATM before going to the hospital. So
No, I'd be just like, fuck it, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna do this with my legs.
Like, no, just go to the ATM. Yep, I cannot afford to call an ambulance. Shit. Can somebody just, shoot me?
just carry me to the hospital.
Like when a horse breaks a leg, just like get it out of misery.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
Oh, god damn it.
And then they turn you into
Alright.
McDonald's products.
No.
That's
McMate.
oh. That gives me an idea for one of our next installments pastas.
Oh god, Ronald McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be reading the Ronald McDonald House.
I'm just
Yes.
waiting for a Mech Luigi somewhere in there.
I've got to find more Luigi pastas, like
Just
at least
hanging
every other
Luigi.
episode. All right. Any final thoughts from you, Tina?
Nope.
Well, all right. I think that's it then. We're good.
Yep.
All right. Well, heavy and unexpectedly dire as some of the subject matter was, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us for today's episode, and sincerely hope that you were able to enjoy our discussion of these two actually wildly different stories, and more in-depth analysis than usual of maybe what could be done to improve them, their tone, or reach a wider audience. Please let us know in the comments down below. You always have to specify the comments are below, despite YouTube being a thing for a very long time now. If you have any feedback regarding this week's episode or its stories, if you think there's anything that we could change about the show or its format to make it more palatable, more interesting, more digestible, just general suggestions, or if there are specific stories you would like to see us tackle in the future, this program, as with all of the Overanalyst content, thrives on your feedback and your contributions to the community and to our programming. So thank you all so much once again. Until next time, and boy, we're going to have some real humdingers next time. I'm Brady the Overanalyst, joined as always by my good friends Martina, or Seth the Overwitch.
Good night, everyone, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button.
And Mate, or Comrade Potato.
Good night, and don't forget to leave a comment down below.
Wishing
Wait,
you all...
Sorry, down below.
There you go! Wishing you all good night and good Luigi.